What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Coming in today. If you can hear me good, drop a one in the comments and drop your city and state in the comments. And introduce yourself to the show, Mr. David.
How you doing, Erica? Glad to be here. My name is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, and I'm really happy to be on this discussion. Normally we do it Saturday, but we jumped in for the Friday show. So let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, you guys, this is a Freedom Friday, and I really wanted to address this topic. I've been sitting on it for a while, but here's my little diatribe. I don't know if you guys know who Gary Vee is, but Gary Vee around 2012 and 2015 started talking about making Gary Vee sports. And people were like, "You're doing too much, Gary. Why are you trying to do Gary sports?" And he said, this is years ago, years in the making. He said, there will come a day where you guys, sorry, you guys, hold on a second. Hold on. I had to give a quiet on set. All right, you guys. So there will come a day when we will be helping student college athletes make all the money they can while in college. And people said, Gary Vee, this is stupid. You know the rules. You'll be breaking the rules. And he said, no, it's coming. Now, this was in 2015 when Gary Vee said this. And he made a whole branch, a whole division. He started saying where student athletes are going to get paid 15 grand to go speak at schools and high schools. Gary Vee also got a office in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And people said, why are you in this office in Chattanooga, Tennessee? And he said, listen, I want to be closer to the heartland. I want to be closer to the beat of America. But he also put a Vayner Sports in that office as well in Chattanooga. Now, Kwame Brown came out and he asked a question that no one will answer. To this day, no one answers the question. Why would they let him sign as a first round draft pick and then just trash him for the next 5 years? Because they were trying to slow down the train of people, student athletes, making money by just going straight to the pros, making money by going overseas. That was the new wave. And that was almost, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago at this point. It was the new wave then. And every year we keep asking, why aren't the student athletes getting paid? Why aren't they getting paid? Oh, you don't need to pay them. And now that 2020 came through the door, my college, East Carolina University, and several other southern states are like, we don't have any money. We have to cut all these sports programs. The first thing people say is, what are you talking about? There's billions in endowments. There's no way. We're out of money. And now all of a sudden, because of lawsuits in court, at the same time you have him coming out talking about this, you have multiple lawsuits all over the place where kids are being offered either you drop your Instagram, you drop your Twitter, you drop your Venmo, or we'll cut you from the program. Either you do this today or you're cut from the program. And kids are going, no way, I'll keep my YouTube. No way, I'll keep what I'm doing and go make a ton of money off their name. This was coming. There was nothing that was going to be able to stop this train. And now I think because of 2020 and schools are going to be losing money via endowments and businesses cutting them checks, that this is the door that opens up this plethora of money, right? Because Alabama's been accused of it for years, right? Now, something I saw that happened last year that opened my eyes was QuickBooks said in a whole seminar, we're going to need 100 times the accountants we have now. And no one could figure out why they said they needed that. We're going to need so many accountants in the future. The IRS is going to need all this paperwork. All these people are going to need paperwork. And everybody said, why is QuickBooks doing this? QuickBooks came out with a program where they'll give you free training, get you certified, and you can get clients from their database. No one's ever heard of this. QuickBooks is doing this whole new thing. And part of the reason why, I think they knew it was coming down the pipeline, that all these college students across all these colleges over the whole United States would be getting what? Access to money, deals, contracts. Gary Vee saw it. Other companies saw it. They knew it was coming. Now, QuickBooks, knowing that PPP was coming, all these different things are coming, just embrace the wave. And, if you want to talk about it, Kwame Brown was right. No one's answered the question, why were they bashing him? Because they were trying to slow down the train of the college billion-dollar system where they're making money off the backs of these kids. And the kids are broke or trying to work jobs. You see the stories on ESPN where the kids are crying when they go, we're going to give you a full ride scholarship now. You don't have to work your pizza delivery job on Fridays. And some big kid comes out crying like he lost his mama yesterday, just crying his eyes out. because they're fighting for this spot. And we just talked about fighting for positions yesterday. This is a new wave. Diamond Dave, come in and talk to me how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think one of the biggest challenges is that not only could the student athlete not get paid from the school for what they were bringing to the table, they also were not able to get endorsements. And I think the argument, because I spoke to somebody about this almost a decade ago in Tampa, and we were talking to a coach. His argument was that it's not fair to have one player who can attract those endorsements and who can attract that money and have the rest of the players not be able to get it. But to me, that's how it works on the professional level. You'll have one player that gets a large amount of compensation, and other players don't get it. But with what we've done, and we talked about this before with traditionalism, people have this idea that the sport is not pure on the college level if the player is getting compensated financially. And for some reason, they want to feel like I'm watching this pure athlete that's just playing for the love of the sport as opposed to the compensation that they're getting. So it's that tradition to me that kept the conversation off the table. And what we're seeing with the younger athlete is that they're just pushing that through, and their attitude is that we believe we should get compensated for what we're bringing. And even if the school isn't paying us, there's a guy, he played quarterback for Notre Dame. He has a business down here in the state of Florida where they're now trying to figure out how can we get endorsements for players? Because for a lot of the players, their highest visibility is going to be while they're in college. Once they leave college, many of them are not going to make the professional leagues. And if they do, they're not going to be that guy. So they really need to capitalize on that really, really small window that they have while they're in college. We take an example, a guy like Tebow. Tebow's still a big name, but he's never was as big now that he was when he was at Florida. When he was at Florida, he was running the world. So if he could have been able to capitalize on that based on the endorsement, especially from the shoe sponsorships, things of that nature, he could have made millions of dollars in college. We could have set him up for the rest of his life, whether or not his pro career works or not.
You know, if you've noticed, there's been athletes getting kicked out, and I'm just gonna go there. There's it's called Destroying Life. I'm gonna mess up his name.
Okay.
Prime example. I'll give you two examples, and I'm gonna go on to the YouTuber. The YouTuber was a kicker. He was just a
Yeah, I
kicker,
remember him.
but he was entertaining. He has a YouTube channel now that has like 300,000 subscribers, and he got in a room with a white football athlete beside him that was like, "I have an Instagram. I'm making money off my YouTube, and no one's saying anything to me." And so quickly the school was like, they were like, all right, get out of here, get out of here. See, because he started bringing on other white football players,
Yeah.
other white people showing that they were making money. And I feel like, and again, I may be wrong, but a lot of black players are very flashy at times. They have these 100,000, 50,000 Instagram followers. And people are like, oh, well, that look at them. They're doing something inappropriate. When you got a ton of, listen, the number two girls that just came out, 1 and 2 twins, they had a
Yeah.
$3 million deal the next day.
Yeah.
They were sitting there like, okay, as soon as the law, oh, boom, Master P son, $5 million, boom. These companies have already been trying to figure out how to do this. They've just been waiting for the lawsuits. And when I saw Texas came out there first and said, hey, Texas is going, whatever school in Texas, it's the law. They can make money
Yeah.
off their name. I said, you know what? Texas in 4 years would have the deepest roster ever. They would have the fittest, the strongest. We'd be Alabama in every school. And then all of a sudden they're like, Florida's like, nah, we're gonna do it too. We're gonna do it too.
Exactly.
And then ECAA, we're gonna do it too. SEC, the last holdout, they're like, well, we're going to court. We're gonna determine. Alabama got students driving Chrysler 300s to class who live in a shack in Alabama,
Yeah.
and no one bats an eye. Not a person. You got kids driving Hummers and G-Wagons in Alabama,
Yeah.
and mama lives in a trailer park. I don't know. They just got a car. I don't know how they got that car. They just somehow magically got a car to their door. So we know it's been unbalanced. But when I saw QuickBooks doing that the other year, I said, why do they think we need so many accountants? Then the PPP loan thing happened. I said, And then this happened. I said, see, QuickBooks and them, they know somebody at Congress. They already know what's coming down the pipe. They're like, hey, we're going to need some accountants. And I had to point those out because I just thought those are the clear examples. Now, someone who people are mad at that brought it up is Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush said Johnny Manziel had $2 million in everything. And no one batted an eye in Texas. No one called him a, breaking the rules. But poor Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken away for getting like 20 grand or something. I mean, it was like some watches. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that definitely. He had an agreement with an agency and he took money from them, and he was supposed to pay them back. And then when he didn't pay them back, they came out and said that, they had this arrangement, and they took the Heisman. And the downside of them taking that Heisman is that that's something that you can eat off of the rest of your life, because they can always introduce you as Reggie Bush, the Heisman winner for this particular year. So that hurt him long term. But like you were saying, is that when we're talking about Alabama, everybody knows, especially the big SEC programs, they pay people. I know a guy, not going to say his name. He didn't go to an SEC school, but he's out of the metro Atlanta area. Clemson paid him $20,000 to go play for them, right? He wasn't even considered one of the best players at his position, but he was good enough to go to Clemson, but they gave him 20 grand. So I just think the issue was that when the school or the boosters are paying the players, it's because they're controlling the purse strings. They like that type of relationship. Once the player can figure out how to go and develop these particular platforms and develop their infrastructure themselves to generate their money on their own, they don't like that loss of control. And so what I've always felt is not as much as it's a money issue, it's a control issue, because they're able to kind of like put a carrot in front of these players and make them feel like, well, if you do what we want you to do, you can get more money at the end of this particular journey, as opposed to the player making money all the way through. But the biggest challenge is that everybody's making money off the player. Reggie Bush was one of the biggest things for USC when he was playing. That little bit of money he took from that agency is nothing compared to how much money was made off of Reggie Bush.
Oh,
so
for sure.
I've never been a fan of, we cut the athlete out of the money stream because he's a quote unquote an amateur athlete. If we find out he's trying to get money, we punish him. But everybody around the athlete's making money, especially in a sport like football, where the injury rate is so high, you may never make it to the professional leagues.
Oh, yes. And what I was trying to get people to understand is, people are like, oh, black people just on this because you don't want black people to get paid. And I said, no. All the newspaper articles are showing you countless white students who car dealership ads. Another funny thing is, I went to East Carolina University, and our football players, one year we had, a whole 20 players going to NFL, right? And then years later, the team sucked, right? We do that every 4 years. And so there were kids doing car commercials. I remember this like crazy. It was their senior year. They were doing car commercials. Hey man, this is me, blah blah blah, and they couldn't wear their shirt, but they wear some kind of East Carolina colors, purple or gold, and they'd be doing a car commercial. And everybody's like, "Wait a minute, are they allowed to do car commercials?" And they go, "Oh, we're not paying them anything. We're not paying them anything." And so, in those moments, I'm like, this has been going on. It's been a racket forever. It's just now that 2020 is exposing us, and also the fact that a lot of these colleges are not getting the same money as they wish, as they wish, from their endowments. Now, all of a sudden, this is an option, because guess what? IRS is eating off this. Accountants are eating off this. Gary V Sports and sports managers is going to eat off this. If you look at sports in itself, everybody eats except for the kid.
Exactly.
It's the craziest thing. And honestly, I think it's like, this guy broke it down. He said all these hundreds of thousands of kids fighting for 52 spots.
Yep.
He's like, it's the most crazy thing you've ever heard of.
Yeah.
And so, yes, somebody said Reggie Bush mom got a house.
Yeah, and Petaway, you're right, but who Reggie Bush was for USC, his mother should have got like a whole apartment complex. And USC is a very well-to-do school. There's a lot of money at that school. They could have done more. And so that's the problem, is that we talked about before. The athlete is gets the least amount of compensation on the college level, but they're essentially, the whole system is built off of them. And then what they're told is that the agreement is that if you're lucky enough, you can maybe go to the NFL and you can sell your services. But we see with other kids that are able to go straight, we look at maybe like Serena Williams. I think she went pro at 17. Because she didn't go through that system, she just directly went straight into the pro leagues and started making money. But in America, what we've done is we built out the minor leagues of football and basketball being the colleges, and then everybody makes money off that minor league system except the athlete. So the game is to keep that particular system in place, because as it starts to fade off, now everybody has to try to figure out a new way to figure out how to get money. So if what will eventually happen with college is that we now have it to where when you go to play college as a scholarship athlete, you got to do 3-year hold after your graduating high school class before you get to go to the NFL. They're going to have to lower that. And so these are the things they were able to keep those players trapped in that system, make them give 3 years to the school for free, essentially. They do get some type of under the table compensation, but not knowing what they can get. So now they're going to have to change that, which means what? the school doesn't get as much money off that athlete that they were doing, because there was a time where they could bring you in, redshirt you, then play you for 3 years. They keep you for 4 years, but then they're able to make money off your likeness and your name the whole time you're at that school. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. So now they got to try to figure out how to create a new model based on this new relationship with these players.
And not that I keep harping on ECU, but I really want to make it important for y'all to understand this. I went to NC State for a summer, and Russell Wilson was in my class.
Okay.
I felt like at the time I was taller than him, but he wasn't. He was taller than me. But then I saw this boy by the end of the 8 weeks of class. I don't know what chicken hormone they put him on, David, but whoa, he was a
Yeah.
tank. He started out looking like a soccer player and came out looking like a tank. And I watched his first football game and he got knocked unconscious. NC State got mad with him because he kept playing baseball and
Exactly.
football.
Yeah.
Got smart with him. Now this boy has rode the wave of NC State. NC State now football is somewhere to be because of him. Kept being disrespectful to him. He's like, yeah, I'm bouncing out to Wisconsin. To this day, when he got drafted, they talk about Wisconsin. NC State lost out on the opportunity to make even more money off of this guy because they didn't want to agree for one more year to chill out. It was
Yeah.
the craziest thing I've ever seen. ECU had a football player that was the same height as Russell Wilson. He was kicking butt, he was winning, and he was complaining that he wasn't getting the proper promotion or access to different conferences. This kid changed the wave for ECU. ECU went to the playoffs like 3 years in a row under this kid, and when he was going, he wasn't drafted. I mean, they literally had the cameras at his house. I mean, the whole thing. He went as on like a practice team. And to this day, I'm like, ECU, I don't know what we did or who we made mad, but the same time Russell Wilson went out, that kid should have went out too,
Yeah.
right? And so the promotion of going to certain schools has always been the biggest win. Hey, you got to
Exactly.
go to Bama if you want to go to NFL.
Yeah.
You got to go here if you want to get it. To this day, I feel like that boy Carden, who the school still to this day shows his picture on Facebook, shows his picture on Instagram, because everybody was like, oh, those are the great ECU years. I feel like he should have been able to make some compensation. This kid had a North Carolina State tattoo on his arm, on his bicep. He pulled his shirt back when he do a touchdown, and you see this giant NC State on this, white arm bicep. And to this day, we use that in marketing promotion at the college. How is he not being compensated?
Yeah.
This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of, right? And so you have these people suggesting they get jobs, suggesting they do other stuff, and you're taking away the wholesomeness of the experience. The kids might have several cousins who play in college. They know the experience isn't like an equal playing field. They know there's some people getting booster opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all even let's say we have a system where we don't pay any of the athletes. The top guys coming out of high school always get money. Like the guy I told you that went to Clemson, they got paid $20K. Right? So the top guys have always gotten paid, and the lower tier guys have never gotten that kind of money from boosters, from other people that can give them the money, and they never gotten the kind of opportunities in the community because they're not the name of player. So one of the things that you do learn in sports is it's not a fair playing field. The people that the team sees as being more valuable, they get more opportunity, and the people that the team sees as being less value, they get less opportunity. And there's also favoritism in sports, and you learn that at a very young age when you play sports. But the challenge that we talked about before is that the guy from Eastern Carolina, the time in which he could really monetize his name and his likeness and his brand was while he was in school. Once he's out of school, he can never get that back. So we got to allow them to take advantage of that, because for the majority of them, they're not going to be successful professional athletes. So they have a 3 or 4 year window in which they can try to make as much money as possible. And I think they should be allowed to do that, because everybody's in college. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people in college try to figure out how to develop some type of skill set so they can make some money. And I don't think just because you're an athlete, you should be left out of that pool of people while the school makes all the money. And so if nobody was making any money, I wouldn't have an issue with saying, well, we don't want to pay the athletes. But everybody's making money from the conferences. You got the TV deals. You got the schools. You got the schools endorsements. You got players wearing brands of shoes. They're making a lot of money. You see the guy right now from Eastern Carolina running with the Nikes on. Everybody's making money, but the athlete is told that they got to cut that out, and they just got to play for the love of the game.
So this is the quarterback I was telling you guys about, and I know y'all are like, you keep talking about him. This kid literally had a North Carolina State with the Panther, if you look on the right-hand side, the pirate in his bicep tattoo. Yeah. This is used in our school's marketing to this day. And you know, the kid has pretty much like, and I'll give you an example. Vince Young. Vince Young changed UT, changed the city of Austin, changed the football laws. So they're like, oh, we're naming things after him. We're naming buildings after him. We're putting statues up. He now has an ambassador job, and what I call the, hey, we can never really repay Vince Young back as much as he owe him. Here he gets 100,000 a year to go speak to students and recruits kids, and he loses it sometimes because he doesn't show up to work, but then he always gets the job back.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what that is? That's the school. That's UT going, we made $1 billion off Vince Young. No hands down, but like we literally, between endowments and ticket sales for a 10-year run, lived off the Vince Young era,
Yeah.
right? And Vince Young went to NFL, and of course, they said he was R. Kelly, couldn't read. Okay, so to this day, he has an ambassador job. Same thing with other football players who have ambassador jobs where they go represent the school. And this is very common. I started looking this up in other states. This is very common to give football players ambassador jobs. And I feel like somewhere someone's made a promise. Hey, man, listen, we can help you out and do this and that. When really, that could never equate what they should be paying. Now, the reason I shared you this girl's picture, I meant to do this article. She is a volleyball player. She has 2.6 million followers on social media. The day the rule went in effect, she got paid $20,000 to do a sponsored post.
Yep.
Who gets $20,000 for sponsored posts? Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. This girl parents are somewhere in Michigan like, hey, I just got paid $20K. She grew up in Spring Lake on Lake Michigan. A little small place. It's not too small. But yeah, it was the point is she had 32 followers when she first went to college, and now she has 2.6 million.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So I want you to understand, like, I don't know how much volleyball players get paid. I don't want to be ignorant. I apologize, y'all. I don't know any volleyball players that really make crazy money. I've only seen like Olympians that play in the sand on Wheaties box. But do you think Chloe's getting on a Wheaties box? I doubt it.
And what school is she going to?
She's at a school in Michigan.
Okay,
and Michigan is technically the first.
Okay, and so with volleyball, the big programs are West Coast and Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
So Texas also has a good program, but it's primarily Florida got a decent program. So the likelihood of her playing professionally is low. It's not impossible, but it's low. So she's able to get 20,000 because of her social media presence. And what I like about it is that you have a lot of amateur athletes that because of social media, they have a following. Mm-hmm. And so brands are realizing that if we can leverage their following to get attention to our brand, use their referent power to their particular audience, and all they're paying her is 20,000, that seems like a lot of money for us. But if it drives millions of dollars of sales, it's a good investment. Mm-hmm. It's a good deal for everybody. Yeah. So this is what I like is that because of social media, your access is direct to the consumer. You got a lot of individual athletes, because I follow specific athletes on social media. Mm-hmm. They have good followings, even though they may not be the big name professional. And their following will listen to what they have to say. So sponsor posts, endorsements, these are good ways for them to monetize their following. And what I do like about it is that the athlete now is invested in their image and in their brand. And so what it can do is it can help them down the line because they're worried about if I do something wrong, I can lose sponsorships. Where if you're just a no-name athlete playing for Eastern Michigan, you really don't care. Now you understand just by investing in my name and my brand and how I look and how I present myself, I can monetize that and actually do business with these companies.
Mm-hmm. Michigan State is so invested in their students making money. They have launched a program to help the kids follow the rules for the new changes.
Yeah.
They have put inside their MSU athletic department someone to help the students, one, build their brand, make informed decisions within the framework of applicable legislation, and position themselves to maximize their earning potential.
Exactly. That's what they need to do.
How much does that person on staff cost?
Yeah. And that's good because what they can do now is when you sit down with that child, you can pitch that as a benefit to go into that school. We can teach you how to leverage your brand because one thing, and a lot of people, the Ball family on social media had a run where they were the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it was
on
all
Facebook. They had a Facebook show.
Facebook show, YouTube, they was killing it, and it was all off social. It wasn't off mainstream news. It was just all off social. And I really think that's really to me what changed everything. is because you saw how just off the power of social media, you can now go cut deals with businesses, with sponsors, because on that show, they were driving cars, they was doing things
Mm-hmm.
as literally as sponsored posts inside their own show because of the amount of attention that they were able to get. And so I just think they really helped change it because I had never seen amateur athletes with that kind of following on social media driving those kind of attention. And I was like, this is essentially going to change the whole game. And now everybody's trying to figure out how do we position ourselves because young people now have an expectation of this type of stuff.
Yeah. And they should. They
Yeah.
should. See, here's the thing. I'm gonna just say it like this. Michigan, if somebody say, "Hey, you want to come play for Alabama or Florida or Michigan?" You're gonna be like, "Shit, that I'm gone." Right?
Yeah.
But this may help you for those who are homesick. Again, Spartans, which is very huge in their area. Football coach Mel Tucker said he's extremely excited about it, so excited about it that they partner with three, not one, not two, but three different third-party vendors to help them build the program.
Yep.
It's
And that's
six
smart.
states that will also be following this. I think that's just amazing. You guys, also something that people don't try to talk about is Mellow Ball did not go to college.
Yep.
And they try to skip that when they talk about him on ESPN. They, he's never. I mean, I remember them making fun of the daddy saying, "Oh, he's never going to get up to the NBA. He's never going to go because he refused to let the kid finish high school." He's like, "I never said the kid didn't finish high school. He finished, and I took him overseas."
Yep. Yep. And that's something that when they played in Romania, and then I think he went to the States for a minute, and he moved to Australia.
Hmm.
I really like his journey because he really showed that they had the goal of making him a professional. This is similar to what they do in Europe. If
Hmm.
you have a propensity to play in Europe, I went to college with a woman that was from the same town as that guy Beckham.
Hmm.
Once they realized Beckham could play soccer, he pretty much was done with going to any school past high school. In this country, because of the system that we built, we want to matriculate you into college and then let college essentially monetize your talent, and then you go to the NBA. And what I like what they did with Ball was that he played overseas. He didn't get in any trouble. He learned how to play, and now we're talking about him being Rookie of the Year, which is something that's not really talked about because of his journey.
Hmm.
I really believe if they hype this guy too much, other young people are going to say, well, I look at his journey. Why don't I just do the same thing because he's Rookie of the Year? And this guy's going to be a really, really good player in the NBA. In fact, I think he's going to be the best of the three brothers. A lot of times
Oh,
that
for
happens
sure.
with the youngest brother because he's pretty much know how to make the mistakes that his older brothers made. But I think he's
What's
going to be the best.
What's sad is the middle brother in the high school years was the best. Isn't that the crazy part? Like the
Yeah.
older brother, they're like, "Oh, he was great," but the middle brother was just on scoring, on rebounds, on all assists. His numbers are crazy. Now people are like, "Well, Erica, they dominated the team, so of course his numbers are crazy." I'm like, no, even when the other brother graduated, those two together still dominated the team, and and so there's I don't know, about Charlotte, North Carolina. We can't keep a secret. So
Okay.
we have the other brother who's been here at camp for 6 weeks now. And
Yeah.
they're like, will they let both brothers play on a team? I highly doubt it. I absolutely highly doubt it. But in this kind of a attention seeking sports media,
They
maybe.
may. They may.
They may.
They may. And what you saw with the middle brother was that they had a deal for him to go to UCLA like the older brother did.
Hmm.
That didn't work out. To me, the father was smart because he said, you know what I'm going to do with the youngest? He's just not going to go to college.
Yeah.
And that I don't have to worry about him getting caught up in that. I know we want to make him a professional player. Just let him play pro ball. And that's what I think for a lot of guys that really have that aspiration to play pro ball is once you get out of high school, just go play in a pro league somewhere. You can always go back to college. These college institutions, they're going to be here when we're gone.
Hmm.
But don't think that you have to go to college. But like you said, and we talked about this with Kwame, there's going to be pushback against that because now you're taking money out of their pocket because they made a lot of money off the older brother. They thought
Hmm.
they was going to make money off the middle brother, but they had an issue with when they went to China. But then they thought the younger brother was going to be the next person they were going to make money off of, and the dad just essentially just cut them out of the deal.
Yep. Yep. And when the Detroit Pistons let him go, and then daddy's out there, the Detroit Pistons is raggedy. I mean, the reason I believe the dad, like, I'm not trying to be funny, but the reason I believe the dad is look how Blake Griffin, how fast he got out of there.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you.
Oh, Blake Griffin, like, I'm broke down. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. He out of there now. He with the Brooklyn Nets just dunking on people,
Yeah,
crashing. And I'm like, come on. That was a good fake out. Hey, you owe Detroit Pistons some money. Um, Part of why I think this is so timely is the attack. I feel like, and it could be timing, who knows, but I feel like that attack on Kwame Brown it was the no, I'm gonna use social media and I'm gonna destroy all y'all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use
Yeah.
social media and defend my name, and we have that opportunity with the platforms we have right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he understood, and he had taken so much abuse for so long, and they had
Hmm.
kind of mischaracterized him as a player. And like I said before, is that the goal was to make sure people didn't follow his lead because
Hmm.
he was supposed to go to Florida, right? And then he decided not to because I think he got information that he was going to be a high pick, which was the best thing for him to do based on his, what he wanted to do with his family.
Hmm.
But the goal is to make sure that people don't take the same steps that he took. But what we saw the NBA do, they made the concession. They said, well, instead of you just jumping right out of high school, you could do 1 year, be one and done.
Hmm.
So they said, well, at least allow the college to get 1 year out of you instead of getting no years out of you to try to, make it somewhere where everybody kind of get what they want. But like when you
Hmm.
look at a player like Zion out of Carolina, to me there was no reason why he should have went to college. But we know Duke looked out
He was
for him.
big. He was big.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
the biggest
the
thing.
kid's a brick wall.
Exactly.
Um.
But he went there because like you talked about before, is that you sometimes feel like you need to get those relationships to get into the pro leagues.
Hmm. Well, also too, I remember. I'm just crossing it a little bit with football. Mac Brown, when he
Okay.
was leaving UT, and it was like, oh my God, like the legacy of Mac Brown was in the toilet, right? Because
Yeah.
people go to certain colleges because a particular coach is there. The last year Mac Brown was in, and they did not draft not one UT football student. I mean, it was like ESPN basically. One of the commentators I remember saying, "I feel bad for Mac Brown. He couldn't call nobody. Nobody would cash him one favor." See, that's the whole point of going to
Yes,
the big
that's
schools.
what I'm saying. That
Is
is.
is there's the favor.
Yeah.
Mac Brown was supposed to call and say, "Somebody, please give me the last draft pick, just one kid." Not a single kid from UT the last year Mac Brown went to the NFL. And they literally, UT said that can never happen again in our history. We will never be embarrassed like that.
I feel you.
And same thing with historically black colleges. Deion Sanders was right. I feel like they punished the historically black college students. Okay, you over here in this system, we're not going to draft anybody on draft
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, he is
Well,
right.
then the next day they pulled 25 kids.
Yeah.
Were those 25 kids not good draft night?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I agree with you because and we know this is that what sold to you as an athlete, and you talked
Hmm.
about with Mac Brown, is that this particular school is going to be a pathway to the NFL. So we talk about
Hmm.
Alabama. What sold to a lot of kids at the top prospects we call blue chippers is that
Hmm.
Alabama has essentially a fast lane to the NFL.
Hmm.
And because of the coaching, because of the relationships that Saban, he's also coaching the NFL. He coached with Belichick. He knows everybody in the NFL. So if they call Saban about a particular player and he gives you the stamp, you good money.
Hmm.
And so I think that's what a lot of kids are worried about because a lot of the big blue chippers, they think that they're going to play for into the league and they want to play. And so they
Hmm.
just take the easiest path. And you're right. They do punish a lot of the kids out of the HBCUs by not drafting them, but then picking them up later. There's a guy that plays for I think the Colts, he plays middle linebacker. I believe he went to Middle Tennessee State.
Hmm.
But he's not really talked about because, like we said before, is that they don't want kids thinking, well, maybe going to a HBCU is a pathway to the NFL, right? Because we got to cut them out of that money stream.
Hmm.
So it's very, very competitive about how they do this. But the athlete is always worried that maybe I won't get called up. And so then I got to go along with the program. And one of the biggest things about football, people that play it, is you're taught as an athlete, as a football player, is to go with the flow. You're not supposed to go against anything. That's part of your team cohesion. So if everybody's going to the big programs in the big schools, that's what you just taught you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be an individual. So you are scared that maybe if I go to a HBCU and stand out, the NFL franchise will see me as somebody that could be maybe an oppositional or a distraction to an organization.
Hmm. So I literally, if you guys actually type up athletes losing their scholarships due to social media, you will see countless stories.
Yeah.
Countless stories. Like, oh, I could literally do this all day. Somebody said they didn't know I was this big into sports. I actually had a cousin play for East Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
He was defensive, and he also got an offer to go play in Canada. He didn't want to do that because it was cold and his knee was on that last leg. And so, it was like, go be up there and be cold after you've been playing. He played Kansas, then he played East Middle Tennessee State and one other school.
Okay.
And then we had several family members older than me who played NC State, about four of them. So if people are like, "Oh, I didn't know you're just in sports," I'm a big sports person because if you know anything about me, I love Game of Thrones. And what's the greatness about Game of Thrones? You're invested in the story.
Yeah.
For me, it's not the sports, it's the actual person and their story and their journey. And, this whole thing with college, it'd be one thing if college was developing these kids, making them take accounting classes, making them really be knowledgeable about finance. But what we learned, even in our family, they got them taking a bunch of
Yeah.
PE
Yeah.
classes and archery. And then
Yeah.
they still got to do another year of school after their scholarships ran out because they have a bunch of BS classes.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole goal is to keep them eligible, keep them playing, and keep
Hmm.
that money in. Because when you're looking at the big programs like Alabama, their football program is bringing in a lot of the money to finance a lot of the other programs. So they're using those players essentially as a revenue generator. And so
Hmm.
that's the thing is that to cut the player out of that money to me is very unfortunate. And so we're glad that the tide is turning to where the player now can get cut in, but the school's going to try to figure out how to balance this new type of relationship. Because if you're talking about a 20-year-old athlete now, you're talking about somebody that was born and raised on social media. They don't know anything else. So to now to try to tell them that they have to modify their behavior just because they have a scholarship, they're not going to go along with that. So
Hmm.
I just really think we're going into a brand new world. And as social media and as these endorsements become bigger and bigger, there's a kid out of Michigan, real
Hmm.
tall, lanky kid. I think his name is Amani Bates, plays basketball. Kind of reminds me a lot of Kevin Durant. He said that he's going to college. I don't think he should ever go to college. I think he should leave high school, go play pro ball overseas 1 year, and go to the NBA. I don't think college is going to do him any good because he's already that good.
Hmm.
And I think those type of players are going to change this whole narrative because of what we've seen with the Ball family be able to do. You're not going to be able to dictate anything to these kids anymore.
Uh, I believe that. I believe that. So part of something I was trying to show y'all is VaynerMedia Sports. If you
Okay.
go, this has been. Oh, here it is. 2008. Their record-setting contract. So what is it? 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
2020. Basically 13 years. That's how far ahead Gary Vee saw this. 13 years. Are you willing to bet on something for 13 years in the future? That's how Gary. That's how. Listen. Say what you want about Gary Vee. The dude will be a billionaire.
Yeah, he's a big sports guy too.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
I'll put it back again. 2018 record setting contract with somebody. 2019 VaynerMedia. 2016 is Vayner. Sorry, 2016. I apologize. VaynerMedia. So it's been about 5 years now. After working with athletes for years, AJ saw a massive white space in traditional agency and offered them superior service, innovative marketing, endorsements, mentorship in the world of business, branding, social media, investing, in sports. I remember him recording talking to someone, Dave, and the kid was like, "Well, how?" And football player, and he was just like, "Hey, man, you can go talk to this school for 5K,
Yeah.
like just like that. Yeah, these schools have money set aside for people to come talk to." He's like, "You just got to work on your story."
Yeah.
And you could see it going off in the kid's eyes. He had a flashy go watch on, flashy chain, and I'm like, "He's where you get the money for that football player, right?" So it's these things were something important. And so again, they're talking about private equity firms are now in their back. Oh yeah, but you can see it for yourself. But again, um, ES Sports, online sport, Fortnite, Intel, all this stuff. You can go look at this stuff for yourself. But Gary Vee, his brother, his family, they knew this was coming.
Yeah. So they was ahead of the curve. And I think
Hmm.
there's a school in the state of Florida called IMG. They're kind of like a prep school for top tier athletes, especially in football and basketball. I think what you're seeing is that they're going to start conditioning the players to start being able to develop these relationships really, really young, just to make sure that they can get it as they go into college, right? C. Avery's right with JUCO athletes because I played JUCO ball for basketball. Um, it is what it is because when you're
So
JUCO,
wait,
you're just trying to get to a major university.
that's
So
basically my cousin
yeah,
did a very
yeah,
low SET score.
yeah, you're just
It
trying to
was
get to
like 800. You're
yeah,
like,
you're just trying to
Charles,
get
did you write your name?
yeah, you're just trying to get to a major university. So he's right. You just take classes just to hope that you can eventually get to a university. I would say you waste 2 years eligibility because most people like myself that play JUCO, you need JUCO because without it, you're not going to play anywhere. But for every situation, it's different.
Yeah, there's a tropical storm hurricane that was. Florida passing us, and so everybody's like, it's storming outside. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
y'all, I'm on the set. Stop. I mean, goodness. And so this Goddess Noah said, is there really an advantageous for a student athlete to go to HBCU? They may get an amazing scholarship, but I don't think it really get the exposure if they're trying to go pro.
Okay, so did you want to answer? Did you want to answer that first? Let me.
No,
I'll answer
you
that
go
after you
ahead
answer.
and hit that out.
Okay,
You go
okay.
ahead and hit that
So
out. I'm gonna leave that
Miss
alone.
Miss Goddess, and I understand your comment. I really appreciate your feedback. But I think this is the when we say exposure. So I think that would have been a better argument when I was a young person. So let's say maybe the 80s and the 90s when you didn't have the internet and you did not have TV exposure. It used to be very, very expensive to put cameras on a particular game. It used to be very
Hmm.
expensive. So that money went to the big institutions. Now, because of social media, um, we can really, really inexpensively tape somebody and then usually digital content, send that tape to a scout or to a recruiter, and they can actually see what kind of player, because when you're evaluating football players, everything is the tape. Whatever you put on tape is what people believe about you. They believe that more than they believe your numbers.
Oh
So
yes.
I think lack of exposure is not as important as it maybe was 20, 30 years ago. But what I do think is they don't have the relationships because a lot of the HBCUs have been cut out for the major state universities. And so what Dion is trying to do, because everybody knows Dion, is he's trying to figure out how can I build the relationships with these particular professional franchises. So if I tell them that this player can play NFL sports based on who I am, they believe me, and then now I can go create a pipeline, right? Because I'm, like I said before, and a lot of people talk about this that know my channel. I'm from a state to where we were not a big football state 30 years ago. But we were successful in creating players, and then where people started looking for our players, and then where you can call a coach in the high school level of Florida, and if they say this guy like the Bosa brothers, they can play at Ohio State because of what our state produces, then you don't argue it. But they went to a high school called St. Thomas Aquinas that puts out a lot of big time players. So I just think the HBCUs, they got to try to figure out how to develop that pipeline and how to develop those relationships. But exposure is not as important as maybe it was 20, 30 years ago because of the internet. You could be playing ball anywhere now. If I can record it with my iPhone, we can get it up. We can get tape on you.
For sure. And what's crazy is I what's funny is there are several HBCUs in North Carolina that went to the pros.
Yes,
And the
ma'am.
guy that was at East Carolina, he's been playing on practice teams for 8 years now.
Yes, ma'am.
Just practicing, and you get paid, I think, 75,000 a year for the practice
Yeah.
team, sometimes more than that. And so that's why my biggest thing is this Kwame thing came at the right time. He was right. They were trying to stop the flood of what's coming now. And so the thing about ESPN, here's the thing: ESPN is dying a long, slow death.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's being cut 1,000 times. Deion Sanders has a what do you call it, reality TV show following him around.
Yeah,
Imagine if we get that at 7 of the HBCUs,
exactly.
just 7 of them. Completely different dynamic.
Yeah. And that's
Completely
something that
different
Dion
dynamic.
talked about is that he was able to get Jackson on ESPN, one of their affiliate networks, right? He says that's not just a good look for Jackson. It's a
Hmm.
good look for the other team. It's a good look for the referees. It's a good look for the coaches. It's a look that he was able to bring because he's essentially a rainmaker in that position. So it's a good look for everybody. And same thing with the reality show. When they play games, they're not just seeing Jackson, but they're seeing the other HBCUs that they're playing. So it's getting everybody into it. And now it doesn't cost a lot of money to do a reality show, put it on the internet. You can go hire you a production team, pay them a few $1,000s, and at least that's a start. And you're starting to create that content and creating that storyline.
Well, I think even you notice parents started recording their own kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but Tony the Closer, the reason he even got his one season with Seattle Seahawks is his family recorded him he was at a historically black college,
Okay. I see.
Winston-Salem State,
Yeah.
and they started recording him, and they sent the tape out to every single football team in the United States,
Yep.
and they sent it overseas. Imagine that. Like, hey, we got the tape. We got the highlights. We'll send it to you. All right, well, we'll take you. Seattle, come on out. Come play. Right? Come let's review you.
Yeah. Let's
So
just
if
take a
you
look at you.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the argument that it's not getting enough eyes, ESPN's playing everybody's games now, almost,
Yeah.
just about. Um Also on top of that, I'm just going to say it, that's your family's job. To some degree, if you're not being marketed enough at your school, they make the joke about parents. Johnny Manziel's parents was just as much as on that football field at Texas A&M as anybody else, right? They made sure Johnny got that marketing, and honestly, that bad stories that he was cutting up in high school were put away, right?
Okay.
They invested that time. So that's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and I definitely and like I said before, is that I think the exposure is easier now than it's ever been, and it's only going to get easier because of the way content now can be beamed across the world using the internet. And
Hmm.
so I think you're going to have a lot more opportunities. But like we talked about before with the HBCUs, it's just going to be about relationships. And
Yeah.
are they willing to build the relationships and trust these coaches when they tell them that these guys can play on the professional level?
Well, part of the I'm going to get to your question, your statement here, JKP, but when I saw that one of the coaches, the coach from UNC Chapel Hill retired, you know why he retired? Not because he was old. I'm just going to say that the mantle was gone.
Yeah.
UNC and Duke were the schools you went to go to the NBA, to
Okay.
be the best player. I know somebody from Kentucky gonna be like, Kentucky. Somebody from Syracuse and them. I don't care what y'all talking about. Duke and UNC Chapel Hill. Okay, they were the best of the best of the best. Now this past 3 years, well, you had Gonzaga, you had
Yeah, yeah, Gonzaga.
UCLA,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had
yeah.
random schools ain't nobody ever heard from, and it became this kind of news story because you never heard of them break through. And to me, if I was a coach and I lost the edge on getting every single one of the best players in America, I'm going home. I ain't got time.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing about basketball. There's so many people in the country. So, like, when we're talking about guys going to the NBA, you got to exclude the Zions
Yeah.
because they're just athletic freaks. So that guy's
Hmm.
going, he was going out of high school, right? He's similar to LeBron. He probably could have played NBA ball at the 10th, 11th grade.
Yeah.
We start talking about everybody else. There's so many people that can actually play basketball inside the United States. And you're right. If you can't get to those top 5 schools, it can be difficult to go to the NBA because those are the schools they look at first to draft people.
Hmm.
And so if you're not able to go to the Carolinas, the Dukes, the Kentuckys, the Kansas, and I think it might be UCLA, then you got some other affiliate schools.
Hmm.
If you're not able to go to those top programs, it's almost as if you're not considered on the same caliber as guys
Hmm.
that went to those schools, even though you may feel like you're just as good as them. You may go to a tournament. You may match up well with them in the tournament. You may get over on some of those dudes in the tournament. But because you didn't go to these particular programs and they have relationships with those coaches, like Coach K, he used to not only coach Duke, but he used to coach the Olympic team.
Yep.
So that's the issue, is that you want to go to these schools because you're worried that I want to coach with those relationships that can get me into the NBA, because the NBA is only going to draft 2 rounds, and most of those guys that get drafted in the second round, they're not even going to make the team.
Hmm.
So they only bring in a small amount of people in every year. It's a small amount of positions, unlike football. So that's how they keep these institutions going, is there's so many guys that can really play ball in this country that are never going to get an opportunity to go to the NBA because they only go to certain schools to find players, and then they spot pick, like Jay Morant coming out of that small college he went to. But it's very unusual for a guy from that small of a school to even get drafted.
Now, I don't. I'm not gonna say I agree with this, but I'm just put it up here for the rankings. Okay, this is the
Yeah.
NCSA power rankings. Okay, they analyzed over 1,300. Let me say that again: 1,300 colleges, 4-year colleges. That's a ridiculous amount of colleges. And they went D1, D2, D3, and NAAI, NAIA. And here's the rankings. Number 1 is Stanford University. Number 2 is University of Florida. Number 3 is UCLA. Number 4 is Princeton University. Number 5 is University of Chapel Hill. That hurts. We've fallen so far. It's really sad. University of California, University of Michigan. I can believe that. I've seen them in plenty of playoffs. Harvard University, Georgia Tech, University of Georgia, Florida State University. I can imagine Florida up there twice. Dang, Duke is 13. They fell down too. University of
Yeah.
Texas, Austin is down there. I mean, Ohio's number 20. This list is on crack. I'm sorry. This is a crack list. Let me see who else. Wisconsin and Maryland. I've seen the Terps go up more than this, but they're 23. Davidson College, which had what? Steph Curry and his brother, the other Curry, I thought, or just the one brother. Davidson College, Clemson.
Yeah, this
This
younger
sounds about right.
yeah, the youngest one went to Duke. But if you drive by Davidson, Davidson like a Coast Guard academy.
It
Like, I mean, it's really, really,
really does.
yeah, but Curry was not considered a top prospect coming out of high
Yeah.
school, so he went to Davidson.
Hmm.
But he just worked it. But he got in because of his father.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. His dad got him in because everybody knew his father, so they knew if he's coming from that particular family, he's going to be all right.
So yes, KP said there are 4,600 college basketball players in an 18.9 billion industry. Each player brings in about $4 million, but gets paid 10 to 20K a year with scholarship. I mean, yeah, the numbers have always been ridiculous. Honestly, these kids should be getting, if we honestly could give each kid 50K a year salary. I know people think, oh, they are 18 years old. Even better. They should make that. They should make that for the amount of work they are doing. If you haven't seen these kids' schedules, I remember this one kid recorded himself and put it on YouTube and got in trouble. But essentially, they wanted him there at 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
train for 2 hours, get a shower, go to class, come back, train again at lunch, go get a shower, do a meeting where they went over plays, came back again at 5 o'clock. And this was off season.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
that's ridiculous.
And you also, a lot of times you also travel. There was a guy who used to play, people know him from playing from Golden State, but he came from out of Arizona. He played for Philly. His name is like Andre Iguodala. I can barely pronounce his name.
Hmm.
He said he went to the NBA because of the way they worked him in college. He felt like he should just be getting paid to play basketball.
Oh, I
And so
agree.
at a lot of the top programs, they working you like you're a pro anyway. And it doesn't really allow you to do anything except just focus on basketball. And Mr. Payday, we can talk about, it was a McCants that talked about when he played for North Carolina, they were
Hmm.
just giving him the grades to keep him eligible.
Basically.
Yeah,
And he said it. They had to take him
yeah,
aside and talk to him. They're like,
yeah.
hey,
See what I'm
hush that
saying?
noise.
So that's the issue, is that they're just pushing these guys through to make it easy on them so they can just focus on basketball. Especially in some of that, at these bigger institutions, it would be a great thing if they could get that education. But they're just there to play ball. And for a guy like McCants, who I knew was going to have issues in the NFL, NBA, because me and him are the same height, that's short on the professional level.
Hmm.
So once he got to the NBA, he was no longer that elite guy. He started having struggles. And then he didn't have the education from Carolina to fall back on. And then once you tell that what's going on, that's going to close the door for any opportunities that you could get from the alumni and the boosters. So he was in a tough spot. But that's the issue, is that they're monetizing these guys at such a high level, and they're not able to get anything on the back end or anything else. I don't know about fourth string, Mr. Avery, but I feel you. I don't know about fourth string.
I said the fourth string.
I don't know
You
about
you
fourth
may
string.
you may get a call. You may get a workout
Yeah,
session.
you may get a workout. But I don't know about fourth string. But Alabama deep, though. They deep. I got to give them that.
I tried to pull up the kicker. Let me
Yeah, I
see.
remember him because I heard about him.
YouTube kicker. I mean football kicker.
And
Florida football.
they told him to take his YouTube page down.
Oh yeah, and he was
Yeah,
like, he did the math on that. He was like, oh no, I'm good.
yeah, I feel you. You know, because the likelihood of him going to the NFL anyway as a kicker is slim to none anyway.
Exactly.
So you might as well just keep getting that money. You know what I'm saying? While it's coming in. And you got a brand. You're building a brand. So by the time you get out of school, you got something.
I'm gonna show y'all how big his website is in a second. I'm trying to get to it. Because he's a Costa Rican. Everyone's like, what is he? He black. But anyway, he Costa Rican.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me put his YouTube channel and I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And so, but the most unusual thing about college sports is that you're really considered legally extracurricular athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how, as an extracurricular athlete, they try to dictate to you the money. But like I said, it's all about the control. Now, here's the issue with the basketball players. The coach gets paid for the shoe deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm playing for Duke and I got a particular shoe color, let's say the ball brand say, David, we want you to wear our shoes, even though I'm a college player. There's now going to be friction because Duke has a shoe deal. The coach gets paid for the shoe deal, and they don't want me conflicting with that. And like I told you, it's about a lot of control over the player.
So I'm gonna just show y'all. This is this
Okay,
young
that's
man. They
him.
wanted him to kick his channel off. He has 3.4 million subscribers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't remove a thing.
Yeah, I feel you.
And he wasn't at 3 million. He was at like 500,000 when I saw the story in the news. Where else would a kicker get 3 million followers?
Exactly.
Not even a kicker in the NFL. There's a really comical kicker that plays for Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
And I only even found it because they did a reel of it. And I was just laughing my butt off. And I'm like, this guy needs to have sports deals. He needs to have, like some kind of deal because he's hilarious. So let me go back to his oldest video. 5 years ago, this happened. Wow. Well, that's when he was still in college. I think it got to about here. He met Colin Kaepernick, yeah, 4 years ago. So essentially, and then the kid did go play in Canada and didn't last long, right? So um, go check it out for yourself. But it was very, yeah, 4 years ago, he was like, they're kicking me out. Like they were even making him leave his room. He had a nice dorm room. They were like making it very emotional for him. And I just thought this was the craziest thing ever. And he having a second YouTube channel. Because really, at this point, you're just an influencer. He's meeting
Yeah,
Cam Newton at the Patriots. How many people get to go to see the Patriots stadium and talk with
exactly.
Cam Newton? Not many. So again, it's just like this is a one of those stories, and you'll see more of this. You will see a
Yeah,
lot more of this.
yeah. He did the right thing, building his brand online because that's gonna open up a lot more doors, and it would have been him just being the kicker playing ball in Canada.
I know, and then like they had 5 kickers, so he was competing for one spot, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, this is just embarrassing." I mean, I feel like the NFL should have threw him a bone somewhere. But again, even though they had the Asian guy called Young Ho,
yeah, I know.
he
Yeah,
was a kicker at UCLA and kept doing bad, and then Atlanta Hawks picked him up, and he was killing butt. He was kicking butt.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's hard to
um,
get them kickers out of there once they get in.
oh yeah, what's his name? Vince Lombardi or Vince Vinatieri or somebody with a weird
Yeah, yeah.
name.
Adam
They
Vinatieri.
were in there forever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Hawks had a kicker. That dude might have kicked for 2 decades.
That's
I'm sorry, the Falcons had a kicker. That guy might have kicked for 2 decades.
just locked in. Ain't
Yeah,
nobody coming through
yeah.
there.
It's hard to get him out of there.
Okay, here I'm gonna show y'all this. Just if you're in my YouTube class, I do this all the time. I show y'all. Now, Social Blade is not always accurately right. It's a guess because YouTube's playing this game. This kid is making $37,000 a month.
Yeah, good money. Good money.
And again, Social Blade is not always right. My numbers are way janky on there. I don't know why. I don't care. I still get paid. Uh, but I just wanted you to see 37,000 a month, and he's making about $500,000 a year off
Yeah,
YouTube. And that's before you count sponsorships and endorsements and other stuff and sponsored posts and him trying out drinks. Because I remember him holding up somebody's drinks for a while. He's like, "Hey, y'all, check this drink out." I'm like, "Yeah." But yeah, Social Blade gives you most pages accurate numbers, not always. Again, it doesn't count people's sponsorships and deals they do. And that's just one of his channels. He has a second channel with 126,000 subscribers. I didn't even put that one in yet.
so he's
So
building it
just
out.
just to kind of get you guys some ideals there.
Yeah, that's a good case study of a guy transitioning, and building
Hmm.
up a good brand on social. 2
Everybody
million
said
subs.
yes, definitely. Somebody saying go Gators, definitely a good list. Kentucky is the best. I know people to this day in Texas, they'd be like Kentucky, and I'm like, you live in Texas. I live in Texas. Shut up.
Yeah,
North Carolina basketball. Um, can players? Oh, that's an interesting point. I don't know that. I will have to Google that. I'm not certain, but I think they have access now to agents.
okay. But how
I
do
don't
we,
know that one.
as Drop 16 TV, how do we define agent? So like,
Yeah.
yeah, how do we define agent? So am I an agent because we got attorneys now acting as agents, and you got agents. So how do we define agent from like a legal standpoint? Because if I'm just going to consult with you on how to get like more endorsement deals, am I an agent or am I just a consultant?
Mm. Mm.
Because
Right.
the issue was that back before when you could actually negotiate your deal into the actual organizations, before you had to fix the fixed cost structure, you got an agent for the negotiation. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you come out, your deal is pretty much set by where you get drafted. So I don't even know what you need an agent for. What you really need is an attorney to make sure the contract isn't messed up.
And that's why QuickBooks has a whole free certification to train all these accountants because they knew they were going to be needed.
Yeah,
If you got 1,300 schools, man, you know how many accountants we need right now. I
yeah,
mean, and it's not even an attractive field. So Tristan Jash, I will look him up.
yeah. I know who
Look,
that
y'all,
is.
I don't know every single person, but if
Yeah, I know
y'all
who that is.
recommend somebody, I will look them up just to
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
know who that is. And that worked for Tristan. I'm not his content is not for me, but I understand the market that his content is for. It's almost like and one. So I know who that is.
Mm. So we got Goldilocks curls. Okay, let me go ahead.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Um, who is his for? Okay, it's like a street ball. What is this?
It's like and one basketball.
Okay,
That's
okay,
who it's like and one. But
okay.
it's and one reinvented for the social media era because and one was in the 2000s. But it's essentially and
Yeah,
one. Yeah, now they'll say it's real basketball, but it's really not. It's really like and one. But no disrespect to him, he built a good brand and he's making a lot of money.
Oh, I believe it. He's
Yeah,
got 2.8 million. Yeah,
yeah,
see, y'all, I'm not even gonna try to play you. YouTube's so massive, y'all will name somebody I've never heard of in my whole life,
yeah,
pull them up, and they're making a whole killing. Like
yeah,
it's just that big of a brand. So it says he's making 22,000 a month. I doubt. I bet it's. Let's be honest, 10 times that. Somebody
yeah.
said in the comments 10 times that. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I bet it's
higher.
way more than that. Yeah,
Way higher.
he's big because I've seen him. He's done a lot of video stuff with professional players,
Oh
and
yeah.
to be able to get in front of those type of dudes, I don't know. I think a lot of these guys got PR firms attached to them.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, he's holding up sneakers and thumbnails. He's holding
yeah,
up stuff. Yeah, he's getting paid.
yeah.
Trust and I know people don't know this, but out of the Paul brothers, I know you have Logan Paul, you have Jake Paul. One of the Pauls is one of not one of Paul's, one of the Logan brothers. All he does is manage other people's YouTubes and gets 10% cut off the top.
Okay, okay.
So
That's a good deal.
there's some Hispanic twins, I forgot their names, but he literally put their whole brand together.
Okay,
Like they came to him when they were 13 and their parents are like, "Hey, help us." Sure. For 10% off top for the next 10 years.
yeah,
And so he does that with like maybe 100 channels.
that's good
So it's
money.
like, because people kept saying, how are they hanging out with all these people? And I'm like, they were people that were working for that family. Well,
Yeah,
working, managed underneath him. So again, sponsor post, all this stuff.
yeah.
Um,
I know who Tristan is.
a PR firm operates like an agent. Yeah, I could understand
Yeah, they
that.
do. I do, and that's what I was saying with when you talked about the
Oh,
example.
here it is. Thank you for the
It's
499
talking
super
about the
chat.
leagues. Oh, have standards for what? Okay, I appreciate it, Helton.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay,
The agent status is determined by the leagues. The leagues have standards for what it takes to be an agent. I think this reminds me of LeBron getting his friend to go back and get trained up to be his
that's
agent.
what we consider agent.
This is a prime example.
Okay, but Helton, but this is the question, Helton. If I'm coming into the NBA, right,
Mhm.
and the if I get drafted, let's say first round, based on the number I get drafted at, the amount that I'm going to get paid is already kind of slotted out, right,
Mhm.
because of the cost structure. So, do I actually need an agent, or do I just need an attorney?
Agents are legally able to represent a person.
Yeah,
So isn't an attorney as well?
that's what I'm asking.
Claudia
Because
said it. I think it would be called a manager.
yeah, because to me, I thought an agent was a person that was supposed to be getting you endorsement deals.
Mm.
And then they was also supposed to negotiate your contract. But what we're seeing now, especially with like if you're an NBA player, if you have a max deal available to you, 5 years negotiating experience, NFL requires a graduate
Thank you
degree.
again for the $5.99,
Yeah, appreciate it.
$5 super chat.
Okay. So negotiating experience. Okay, so we define negotiating experience as just any area in which you negotiated something.
Interesting.
Okay.
I wonder who was the regulatory board.
You
Because
probably got to
you
submit some.
always hear them say, "Oh, I got ripped off by this person," or "I got ripped off by
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
person,"
yeah.
and you're like, "How'd that happen? When? How?"
They probably was able to submit the credentials, but yeah, it's happened to a lot of players. A lot, especially NFL guys, a lot get beat out of their money by agents.
Well, and also I think again, this is where I go again. Where what are colleges really doing? If we're not forcing this guy to go through 4 hours a day of accounting,
Yeah.
what are they really structuring him for? Somebody
Play
said we're
football.
already in the year 3000. Yeah, pretty much. Grant Hill used a attorney for his contracts.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
because if,
okay.
if you're a max player and they offer you a max deal and you know you're not going to another team, you don't need an agent, you just need an attorney.
Yeah, this guy said agents aren't needed to negotiate
Yeah.
contracts anymore. Okay. Said watch out for I don't know who that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I know who that
Out of
is.
Florida. Oh, you know who that is?
Yeah, I
Okay.
know who that is. Yeah.
Is a big thing out of Florida?
Yeah, yeah. He broke Usain's Bolt's record for the 200 in the Olympic trials.
Oh wow.
Yes, he's a big time speed guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He got a big bright future ahead of him at his age, as long as he can stay healthy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jim. Okay, Jim, I see you. I'm gonna read it. He done super chat twice. I'm gonna read it. Okay. No, that's a manager. An agent focuses on league aspect, but
Okay.
Lozonzo Ball's old manager said who he's suing talked about what you're saying. They don't need an agent for the first contract. Okay.
Yeah, they don't. But this is the thing, Helton. Do you need it for the second contract if you're gonna get offered a max deal? Because you already know how much you're gonna get paid.
Hmm. Okay, he said he was referring to Rich Paul and Darius Blaisley deal for New Balance internship.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So again, there's many ways to go on this, but like I think Kwame Brown was that sacrificial lamb, and then the Ball brothers are the next kind of sacrificial lamb for this
Yeah,
next kind of level of using technology. And my thing is, if y'all knew y'all was getting ready to open the floodgates, like get your boot off the neck of some of these folks. This is crazy. I saw this one black boy in Alabama. I think he went to Auburn, and he made a bunch of T-shirts.
okay.
His mom was making them, printing them at the house, and they were selling thousands of dollars of T-shirts off his Instagram. And the school's like, stop this right now. Well, the mom had already made six figures for the year.
Yeah,
To me, I was like, Auburn, are you for real? Like, to me, that this is where this doesn't make a lot of sense. So
yeah. I
Master
think
P's son, yeah.
with the balls, I think 10, 15 years from now, we're going to kind of realize the impact because I do see a future with technology and also 3D printing where you're going to have
Hmm.
high school players that have a big, big presence. They're going to have their own shoe line. And I
Hmm.
think him trying to kick the door in on that, and a lot of people not really understanding it, but because of the hype around his children, you're going to see more and more of that with kids at younger and younger ages, where they're going to be 15, 16 years old, and they're going to already be superstars just off social media and what they're doing in sports. And they're going to be able to sell shoes and stuff directly to that particular audience.
I feel like LeVar Ball has this like, oh, he's crazy, and something he said. Now I'm gonna say this, and I know y'all gonna get mad at me. LeVar Ball's daddy was real dark skinned, but then married out. LeVar Ball's married out. LeVar Ball's children, his granddaughter is a white woman. I just seen the
Yeah,
baby. I was like, this is a white baby. So he's
yeah,
talking about Black Power, and I'm like, no, but I feel him, just not on that part of it.
yeah. I feel you.
So just gonna say that people gonna be like, oh, yeah. Master P's son, Tennessee State freshman Hersey Miller. They have the weirdest names. Cashes in on an NIL rule for $2 million deal. Rap mogul Master P said that his son just signed for a $2 million ambassador deal with Web Apps America, a
Yep,
software development company in Los Angeles. Now think about that. This kid is in Tennessee and signed a deal with a Los Angeles company, y'all.
yep. And
And
see, he
honestly, I
got the
don't think
right
it's for
dad.
the son. I think it's for the daddy.
You think it's for the
they
dad?
really, they really want the daddy.
He got the right pops though, because his dad know how to cut them deals. So he got the right dad. So he gonna be all
Mhm.
right.
They
Yeah.
said this deal is for 4 years and added. This is like playing in the pros now.
Yep.
Right. He's worked so hard. This is a blessing. They say when you do right, blessings come to you. He's been an A student, and this is why this company did this because they wanted to do a deal with student athletes from a HBCU. When they researched them, he was the top athlete when you pull up HBCU. Was he
Exactly.
the top, or y'all saw his daddy and wanted that daddy out?
I think it's the name. But what I like about it is that when we look at the deal and we look at
Hmm.
the numbers are only going to get bigger over the years. So he's
Oh yeah.
essentially setting the precedent. So in 5 years, deal's going to be even bigger, and he's attached to an HBCU. So we know now we can get over the issue of that. Well, if you go to HBCU, you may not be able to get certain type of deals. P has already pretty much kicked that door in.
I mean, and again, there's this meme that goes around. It's like Master P is who y'all think Jay Z is, and I mean that. Like, I
Yeah,
really want Master P to go ahead and get that billion. He hang out with billionaires all the time, especially that woman he dated. I'm like, go on, get that bill, get that B, go on,
yeah,
quit playing us.
yeah. He the real
Master
deal.
P is a company. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he the real deal. Yeah, he the one got me to make a movie because I saw him do it first.
Man, there's so many things where, but I'll say that for another day. Again, chaos is a ladder. Game of Thrones. All this makes me feel like I want to do Game of Thrones quotes, but um people that did it the right way, unfortunately, sometimes take the cut, which is the Ball family. They were like,
Yeah.
the daddy's like, I'm not crazy. This makes sense. They're doing everything they can and doing it the right way. But again, so he said, I would use an agent for that max deal, but all this is preference of the player. I definitely see the logic. I think Kwame still uses his uncle as an advisor. What?
Yeah, yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, I feel your health, and I was just wondering why you would need an agent if we're already going to if I'm going to sign you to a max deal, we already know what your pay structure is going to be. Why do we need an agent to negotiate?
So I will say this: LeBron's kid, he plays with this other kid called. Oh, I just saw this earlier today. Anyway, the boy's mama is dating Drake. Was on a date with Drake, And I said, now you know this is crazy when your son is so popular because he won play. He's a good player. I'm not gonna knock him, y'all. I just don't remember his name. He plays with LeBron's son, Bronny, however you want to say the kid's name. And they have a following. Like ESPN was reporting on LeBron James' son.
Yeah.
It's already there. Your mom went on a date with Drake. Now, already I got questions about that, but the point is, your mom, like, you're already in that Hollywood super status.
Yeah. And LeBron's kids are getting hype off of him.
Hmm.
They're not what he was when he was in high school, but I think that would be impossible for him to replicate that. But just off who they are, they're going to get a lot of attention. And so I would try to be on their team too, because that attention can also come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they calling his the daddy red pill now. Oh Lord.
Okay, I
Now he
feel you.
did. Now he said some things about and this is coaches have said this. They've been on record as saying this. It's easier to deal with the single mom. That
Yeah.
story of the single mom, it's hard dealing with the dad, and LeVar Ball shows you why they don't want to deal with the dad because the dad knows they got talent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I respect what he was able to do for his children and how he was able to guide them. Um, and I don't agree with everything that he said, but I understand it was
Hmm.
promotion. It was promotion. To say that the oldest son was going to be better than Curry, I mean, it was promotion. It wasn't accurate.
Yeah.
But I do agree with the fact that they had a goal, they worked towards it, and they pretty much was able to keep those kids on the straight and narrow path to get to that goal.
This has been a good year for track and field. A lot of athletes become pro and sign a lot of first time deals like Asics, New Balance. Now, here's something I thought of. Okay, this is something I'm thinking of. Oh, I'll address this, Claudia. I know I shouldn't have said. I tiptoed over there. I'm gonna go ahead and read it. I'd open that door. LeVar Ball dad is his complexion. His mom is 3 shades darker. I'm just talking about the picture I saw. They posted recently where they put the whole family out. They're in the driveway of the family, and I thought the man to the left was his daddy, but it may have been the light skinned man to the right. I apologize.
She
LeVar.
Latino, she
Mhm.
Latino, she Latino white, and feel
Mhm.
that she not black. She Latino white. She not black.
I know. I'm like, pretty much.
She not black.
You're
And no
right.
disrespect to them, but she not black.
I mean, like, if I show you this
Yeah.
baby, I think this
Yeah.
baby. She don't have blue eyes, but pretty light. I mean, like the baby walked out. I thought this was somebody else's baby, and then his oldest son came out and picked her up. I was like, oh Lord, that's his baby.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know it could
Yeah.
get lighter. It
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. And
So I just
yeah, I saw that happening because I watched some of the episodes of the show and I kind of saw what type of chicks they was into.
well, what's funny is the youngest is into dark, dark, dark.
Okay.
He's all the way the reverse. He be in Atlanta
I feel
looking for the big booty baby.
you.
He's the one that spoke out about Shakar. Like, hey, if it
Yeah.
ain't
Yeah.
crack, let her run track. I was
I
like,
feel you.
oh, he gonna
Uh,
be the one.
I want to make a comment about the Zoe that talked about the track. Quad is kept, I think, the United States, especially for our track athletes. We're
Hmm.
in an era where we're probably going to have one of the best track eras for probably like the next 10 to 15 years. So I think that's something that we want to really study, and a lot of the sponsorships going towards them because of they're able to leverage social media. Because we have so many good track athletes now. People that were winning world championships 2 years ago couldn't even make Olympic teams this year. So we have a ridiculous amount of talent on the track level that's really not getting a lot of attention for whatever reason.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm a big fan of them starting to leverage their own brands, utilizing social. I forgot the one sister that got off Nike, got her own shoe brand now, and she utilizing her brand on social to build out her own line of business as opposed to being dependent on a lot of these bigger companies.
He said, "Go ahead and drop those quotes." No, there's just I'm a big lover of the book 48 Laws of Power, and then I'm a big lover of. Hold on a second. Okay. I'm a big lover of there's an interaction between Littlefinger and Cersei where he
Okay.
goes, knowledge is power. And she said, no, power is power. And that whole scene, that whole way it was acted out, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Um, I love that and the 48 Laws of Power. I could do series on that because
I
I
feel you.
see it play out on social media. I've seen people y'all think is dirty come back out clean 3 months
Yeah.
ago because y'all got short memories.
Yeah.
I've seen people go get in partnerships where they all hate each other, but they all in a mega partnership together, and y'all think everything's gravy, but let something fall out. They will sacrifice that one dude. I know it because I know too many. I'm like Littlefinger in the back, like, tell me about it. Tell me about
I
it.
feel you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm big on those because I think people don't study people. They're so
Yeah.
wrapped up in their own life and just zoning out that they completely forget there is games being played.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, there you go. You
Yeah.
are the one.
Yeah. You're right.
So uh there's a whole series I can do on that, but I'll stop. But yeah, that's a big thing. Bailey. Oh,
Who's on?
and also my favorite thing is when Arya's like, You killed the wolves," and she came back, took the whole family out. The North remembers, okay? Like I feel like um, there's a young man on YouTube who was super. I'm red pill and saying all these crazy things. Well, then he falls in love with this Asian girl and start having a baby and get married, and they make all this millions of dollars off YouTube as his family channel, and he's still people in his comments like, "Oh, I remember you saying this."
Yeah.
Trust me, people memories are like goldfish. So, yeah, her name is the basketball player is Amar Bailey. Honestly, if that
Okay.
son and him should go straight to the NFL, NBA.
NBA. I feel you.
But I don't know if that'll work that way.
Hey,
Master P and No Limit Sports Management messed up a lot of contracts. Ricky Williams.
Rick wanted that contract.
There you go.
Yeah, Rick wanted that contract. Now they may have been wrong to let him sign it, but they wanted it. Yeah, Rebels. Yeah, this I think we're going into an era where like we're gonna have one of the best runs for American track and field that we probably seen in 20, 30 years, similar to like the late 80s, early 90s. We got some
Mhm.
serious track athletes now. I mean, it don't even make no sense.
Somebody
Even
said Ricky
without
Williams ain't
Shakari.
been right since.
Yeah, I don't know about,
I think
about that.
Shakari, there is this space. Um, there's this space if she will take it of the do better than me tour, and then her come back in 4 years and kill it. But it's gonna take a lot. That's a lot of discipline for 4 years
Yeah,
for
but
her to
this is
do better. Go
the
ahead.
thing, Erica. I think with her look,
Mm-hmm.
she has to do everything the right way
Yeah,
because people don't want to say this, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Her look is extreme. It's just an extreme
it's
look.
South Dallas.
I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying, but it's an
Yeah,
extreme look to the majority. So I just think because of her look, people are gonna look for reasons to see something wrong with her. So she just can't make any mistakes. And I think once she understands that, everything will go a lot smoother for her. But it's just her look is really extreme. To me, she looks like she's from Miami. But you telling
but
me that's
that's
a
the funny
Dallas
thing.
look? Yeah.
So in South Dallas, and that's
Okay.
part of why. I mean, I'm gonna just go there. White people in Dallas were like, "Oh shit."
Okay.
Like, oh, like I know white people in Dallas. They don't even like going past Austin because they feel like below us is Mexico,
I
and
feel you.
Houston is the ghetto. So
Okay.
when they talk about South Dallas, like there's a joke about Oak Cliff, like you
Yeah.
even hear it in rap songs.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
had a black dentist hanging out there, and he got shot.
I
And
feel you.
I remember O'Shea did a video like, "You a dentist? What you doing hanging out in Oak Cliff?" Like this how renowned this area in South Austin is. Now, I mean South Dallas is, and that part of South Dallas Atlanta could fit inside of it. That's how big South Dallas is.
Okay.
So there's this, I'm gonna call it a subculture, and people from Dallas don't get on me. Where it's like the cars, the stuff. You would think it was out of a movie. You would think it was out of Houston. You would think it was out of Miami,
Yeah.
but it's South Dallas, and it's
Okay.
that the nails, the hair, the Texas, you're making money regardless. So it's like you can dress how you want, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is you go to another part of where the Dallas people are, black people are in Dallas, and it's like bougie bougie.
Okay.
So that's what's kind of really interesting about it. But for her, yeah, I saw her in a video where she had the blonde hair. I was like, that's too much. Then I saw her at the airport with a dark colored red, darker red, and she was talking like very calm and sweet. And I was like, that's what you need for
Yeah.
the next 4 years. When you do an interview, calmer colors, a little less nails. I'm so excited to get back in the ring, have the comeback story. You'll make your millions. You'll make them at 25. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. She does need an image consultant. She need to hit up KS. She needs an image consultant because when she did the interview about why she violated the test, I
It was
don't
terrible.
think that was a good look with the blonde hair with the super big eyelashes.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I just don't think that was a good look. I think she's a sweet person, but I just think she kind of maybe got to switch her image up a little bit. Not a
Well,
lot, but just a little
it's
bit.
it's super loud. Like the day she ran track. My thing is her story will still be great if she comes back in 4 years because you are not the winner. If you don't beat the best, you ain't the
Exactly.
best.
I feel
I
you.
don't care what y'all gonna play. I don't care what little game y'all playing, little story y'all tell. Well, Erica, she ain't on record no more. Baby, we saw it with our eyes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She was the best. Now, she started off slow. We've had lots of track coaches talk about it, but she's the best.
Yeah.
Like, period. Like, sorry. Like you're not. It's the same thing with the girl. What's her name? That's having a little mental issue moment.
Or
Um,
the tennis player.
yes, the tennis player.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
she
yeah,
dropped out, I was like, well, all these girls ain't the winner then.
yeah,
Ain't none of these girls number one. Like even the poor little girl, black girl Dominique, she lost. I was like, okay, well, y'all, we don't, ain't nobody black left, not one. So if you don't beat the best, you ain't the best. So this the thing, exactly, Jabras. The ball son that isn't in the league just bought a $3 million home. So again, I keep trying to tell y'all, they have been dominating
yeah,
sponsorships, sponsored post, Facebook show. That Facebook show, Facebook was like, drop the bank on them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Drop the bank on them. Same thing with that Red Table Talk with Will Smith and Jada Smith. Till she started having entanglements and they came out, they were dropping bank on that show. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I was going to answer your question, Terrence. You could just go literally to the QuickBooks website. They literally have free. It's a free certification, and if you pass the certification within QuickBooks, the test they give you, they will send you clients
Good
for you to
deal.
answer. Like that's how big they think this is going to be. That they could not. They're like schools and other places will not produce enough accountants in 4 years for all the accountants we will need.
Mm.
Let's see. Am I missing anything in this conversation? You totally bring it up to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. I just think the future for this particular space is, like you said before, endorsement sponsorships, and the younger players starting to understand that they can take their endorsement career into their own hands, and then us trying to figure out what's going to be the pushback from colleges, because
Mhm.
anytime you got a sector where they're making a lot of money doing something, they're not going to just sit back and let that be taken from them. So we
Mhm.
just got to try to figure out what are they going to kind of try to do to kind of push back against this, even though they're kind of looking like they're going along with it. But there will
Well,
be
what's
some
their
pushback.
cut? What's
Exactly.
their cut?
And then how are they going to change their model? Because like you said before, is they're bringing in less money, which they're not going to like. That's what I
Mhm.
want to talk about. Allison Felix bringing up her own brand. So I just think it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops, because we're going into a whole new business model similar to where when you can no longer make money selling physical records, the record companies had to try to figure out a whole new model. That's when they came up with the
Mhm.
360 deal. So what's going to be the new model for everybody to make money now? Because really where we're at is the athlete can pretty much make all the money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, no, you guys. I am not Littlefinger. I have an actual Winterfell shirt. I actually have the Starks, like a whole wolf shirt. I was gonna wear
Okay.
it with Diamond Dave on another show.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be like, get out of here, nerd. But I have a whole. I even have a little. I went to the Black Comic Con in Austin, and they
Okay.
have this thing where it's the fur around the cape part,
Yeah.
and then you have this long cape. Yeah, I went straight nerd. I was like, I'll buy it. How much is it? $40? I'll buy it. But yeah, so the track star, this is a prime example. Allison Felix, they cut her,
Yeah.
because she was pregnant, and she was like, okay, no problem. And she came back and she's launching her own shoe brand. She will also be in the Olympics, so she will make that money.
Yeah. And she has a really good brand.
That's right. The North remembers. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what we had. So he said this brother is real forward thinking. All right,
So I appreciate it, Mr.
I bring
Helton.
on the best. I bring on
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. But if I was a agency like Gary V,
Hmm.
I would try to get a group of athletes similar to what Nike did back in the day, and get them try to figure out, can I get them all under one brand? Because
Mm.
that's really how Nike moved back in the day, when they got everybody up under one brand. That's what I would
Hmm.
try to do, instead of having everybody being kind of decentralized. Can I get everybody under one roof? Because now we can essentially create a cartel of endorsements.
What would it be? Would it be like a bunch of track commercials and stuff like that?
Yeah, like maybe just track or maybe basketball. But how can I get, or even maybe people in different areas, but we all get them up under one brand, similar to what P did. Well, P just had a whole bunch of rappers, but everybody was under the tank. And then
Hmm.
now you can control the industry for a certain amount of years, because essentially you're controlling the narrative, because everybody that's hot in rap is up under your tank.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. Somebody already corrected me. Both knowledge is power, and power is
Well, yeah. Well, like they say, power is
power.
what men think power is.
Yes,
Exactly.
there you go. I apologize. Listen, I'm saving the quotes up for the show when we do the actual show. Can't wait for the Ballsboro BBBAAU training facility and 5,000 seat arena in Chinco Hills. He
Okay.
has 50 South Central coaches, 16 practice courts, weight room, Olympic pool, and connected hotel. Hashtag moneymaker. Now,
Yeah.
if
Go
he
get
can
it.
get if he can get the contracts from the schools, yes,
Yeah, he'll
money.
figure something out. Yeah, I like the ball's a visionary. That's why I think a lot of people was never gonna get him anyway. He's not thinking now, he's thinking 30, 40 years into the future. And that's why I said this. I think we're gonna remember him in the future as kind of kicking the door in, but a lot of people are
Hmm.
gonna benefit from what he's done. But he is a visionary.
Yeah. LAR
I
movement.
try to tell him.
Listen, LAR movement. I'm telling you, that man done got booed up. I ain't seen
Yeah.
him in 4 years now. No.
Yeah, but Rick, like he said, Rick wanted that deal.
Why did he want that deal?
He was trying to prove a point, which you don't try to do, and you
Ah,
because they try to tell him take the guaranteed money because you can get it, you got the leverage. He had this
right.
mindset that I want to work for my money. You don't do
Mm,
that in the NFL. You take the money that's on the
right.
table because that's your only guaranteed money.
Mm.
Yeah, but
Okay,
it
then
is
that
what it
makes sense.
is. He a grown man.
Yeah. Okay. So that y'all we got, I'm catching up a little bit, but yeah, we ain't gonna be on here all day. Y'all to just stop it. They talking about ain't no guarantee in 4 years. It's
Yeah.
true. She's at 21. She's at her like peak energy, but I get it. I'm tired of y'all talking about this Jamaican. I don't care about no Jamaicans. I am tired of hearing about Jamaicans gonna win everything. Usain Bolt is gone. It's a wrap.
Yeah, Shelly Ann Fraser, the truth, she the truth. But I would have loved to see them match up because this is the issue. In 4 years, Shelly gonna be too old to run against her.
There you go.
So that was the issue. Is I wanted to see them go at it because in 4 years, Shelly gonna be she's gonna be pushing 40 years old. She's gonna be too old to be out on that track. So it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work.
You
So I
know,
needed to see them out there now.
I mean, somebody was making a joke about people off season running. I'm like, hey, go to Shelly Ann's, go to Jamaica. Let's go get on a track. Let's do it just for the cameras,
Yeah, yeah,
ESPN
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we might have to do like an independent, like you said, like a one-off race between them two. But yeah,
Hmm.
that was the issue, is that I wanted to see her against Shelly Ann, but because Shelly Ann in 4 years is not gonna be at an age where she's gonna be competitive anymore.
You are perfectly right, Capricorn. Yes, this is true. Gabby Thomas is from that part of Texas. It's sad our community talks about Richardson, but not Gabby Thomas. Why is she not the standard for black women? Because we were making fun of her hair. We were too busy worried
Yeah.
about it not being perfectly brushed. Um, and yes, and Simone Biles, Texas too, as well. So you're not gonna slander Shakari. See, I'm gonna stand beside her.
Okay, Kariga,
Okay,
who's the best runner if it's not Shakari,
she's
Mr.
got a
Kariga?
slow start, but she good. You're not
I'm
gonna
just
do
looking
her
at
like that.
I just look at a time. I just look at the time she's putting up. Because if she ever figures that start out, the time's gonna get even better.
Well, her coaches are gonna stand beside her, so it may.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
okay, let me
yeah,
see.
American track and field is just ridiculous. One of the reasons we got a lot of East Africans running for us. It's gonna just get stupid.
Y'all talking about 40's too old. Ask Andrew and Peterson. Y'all, wow. Okay, so anyway, that's what we have for y'all today. I thought that was a good show. I just think you guys should really talk about it. Thank you, Geechee Dan. I'll put that on my note. I actually am the host of FidCon 2020
Okay.
this year, so I will be at I'll have cameras on me. People follow me around. I'll be doing a lot of stuff. So I'm excited about it this year. Next level stuff, opportunities. So yeah, there is a Black Comic Con that came to Texas. Yeah, it goes around to several locations. And it highlights all the it does a lot of Blade promotion all over the place, but it highlights all the comic books from creators I never even knew existed. So it's pretty good. So I am the host in 2020. They said sprinters don't reach their peak until mid 20s. Hold on, Josiah, do sprinters reach their mid peak in their 20s? Their peak in their 20s, mid 20s. What age? So side note, my nephew was training for the Olympics. So he's what's his name? Justin Gatlin is 30. How much? 34. Have you heard of that person, Dave?
I heard him, but ask him, does he believe Gatlin's in his peak? Gatlin's still competitive on a world level, but is he peaking?
Come here, please.
Is he peaking?
Do you think Gatlin is in his peak or is he already peaking? He said it's all about how you train, really.
Okay, I ain't gonna argue with him.
Listen, he competing again. He's in these 20s,
I
so
ain't gonna argue
he's
with him.
got this Olympic tattoo on his back. We can't
But I
talk.
think how old is your how old is he?
Just how old are you officially now? 28.
Okay, so I think when he's 10 years older, he'll notice the difference, especially from a recovery standpoint on his training.
Well, 28 to 30 is the peak performance overall, is what he's saying behind me,
Okay.
is when you're supposed to have it.
Yeah, because I think Gatlin missed his window because he got suspended.
Oh,
So
Gatlin got suspended.
he's still competitive, but as we saw in the trials, he got hurt in the trials and wasn't able to go to the
Ooh.
Olympics, and that happens a lot as you get older.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the you can't see my nephew, but he's like 5% body fat behind me, so he thinks
Yeah.
everything is like, we the peak, we the best. He's got 27 abs behind me. We the
Yeah.
best.
But Gatlin for his age is in incredible shape. In fact, he can beat
For
most
sure.
people in their 20s. He's in incredible
Well, he
shape.
said 28 to 30, so we'll
Yeah.
we'll cut it in the middle. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on today. I thought this was a good show. I want to bring this up. I think this is, along with my show I did yesterday. If y'all can't see the what we call the table changing, there's a massive changing on the table.
Yeah.
So if you're not paying attention, and if you got kids in sports and you ain't paying attention, um, y'all about to be missing it. So y'all cracking me up with these comments, but yes, I think it's important. So, but yeah, Dave, close out. Tell them also where they can find you, and also tomorrow is a money making Saturday because we got you on tomorrow.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the Just Stocks Profit Show tomorrow. Y'all check that out if you want to figure out how to potentially make money from the market. We can't guarantee anything. We're not financial advisors, but my goal is to try to help you understand how to leverage the markets to make money. You can find me on Facebook, also YouTube. YouTube is going to be Diamond Dave. Facebook is going to be David Williams. Instagram is going to be Diamond_Dave. Check me out. Let's connect and catch me on another one of Erica's shows, and we have a good conversation. And Drop 16 is right. When she opens up, she does look like she's floating. She just has that kind of speed. And I say this because I know we getting kind of long in the show. If you look at Shelly Ann Frazier, and you see this with a lot of female sprinters, their trunk is very thick. Sha'Carri is very tiny, and it's impressive that she can run that fast, being as petite as she is. Because if you look at her trunk, she doesn't have a thick trunk. She's very slim. So I'm trying to figure out where she's generating that speed from. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint.
5'1".
Yeah, she's real. She's like 5'1". And I'm not saying that she's doing something illegal. What I'm saying is that most female sprinters are short, but their trunks are very, very thick. That's where they're generating that power from. She is a very petite woman. It's amazing she can run that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, yes. They 5'1". I apologize, y'all.
Yeah.
Because I remember them saying when they had the lineup, no woman was taller than 5'6" there. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because they have their shorts are so tiny, it looks like they got all these legs.
Yeah. Sha'Carri's tiny. She's a tiny woman.
Yeah. It says, salute Erica and my good brother Dave. Big ups, respect. Yeah, thank you. Everybody saying thank you for the time. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Again, Diamond Dave links will be under the channel. And on Saturday, y'all, if you don't know, you better be paying attention to the stock market. It's been some crazy. I think me and Dave are going to touch on Wells Fargo tomorrow and some banks. And so you guys just check out tomorrow's show. Thank you, Diamond Dave, for hanging out for us today.
No problem. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys. This is your girl, Erica, Classy Climb Blog. Have a great evening.